Hi, welcome to 2020 Tasty Treats with GourmetQuilter. I'm Susan Clare, GourmetQuilter, and we're having a whole lot of fun in 2020. We're doing 20 different projects and each one has 20 different parts, each with a video and a downloadable pattern. So this time this is the final one for the year, we're doing 20 sewing room appliques. So it's a series of applique and we've got 20 different things that you might find in a sewing room that we're appliquing. So we're up to applique number 4. So in the pattern, which is available through GourmetQuilter.com, there's a downloadable pattern that comes each day if you purchase the pattern, and the shapes are all ready for tracing, all the markings are there, the pieces are usually numbered, which is an indication of which order you place them onto your background fabric. The background fabric sizes are there because we're doing all different sizes. So I've gone ahead and I've already cut out my shapes and I'm using fusible web, so I've got the fusible web on the back already. And so we just sometimes need to make a few markings because we're going to do some of it with the stitching. I'm doing free motion stitching. It's not essential that you do that, but that's how I'm doing the applique and any stitching. So on this particular one, this is actually a little thimble. So I've got my shapes cut out and we need to make some markings of where we're going to. Well, I've already gone ahead and done it, but I'll show you what I've done. So I've got a light box here. I've got my markings that I want to already on the paper of my fusible web, so that when I place it on a light box it shows through and I can just trace over them with a pencil or something that I'm using to mark with, so that everything is there so that I can see where I want to stitch. Now on the top of the little thimble, when we have thimbles, usually they've got little tiny dimples or circles marked on them or pressed into them for taking your needle as you're sewing. And so we could stitch those, they're just tiny little circle markings, or we could use a marking pen. So this is a micron Pigma pen, it's just a very fine one, a 05, and I'm going to mark my little dimples with the pen. So I've actually already done most of them, but I've left one here to mark. Same thing with the light box, chances are you'll be able to see through. Now this is not as easy to see through because it's a darker fabric, but I know where they're going. So some of it can be, I guess we could say, a little bit of guesswork, or you could just mark them through a different way perhaps. But so all I've got to do is just draw my little, it's a little oval when it's on here at this angle, and I'm just going around it a couple of times and it's marked. So that's done as far as the little dimples go on the top, because I've already marked the others. So you could, as I said, stitch them, you could use something else, but these are permanent on fabric when that's dry. So I think that's a great idea for some really small details. So we'll go ahead now and get the applique ready. So I've got my background. This piece goes down first, it's number 1. So I'm going to position that. Now if you're not sure about getting it central, we could do a little finger press line just lightly on the background so that we can see where our center line is, so that when we're positioning this we can get it pretty much central, because that's always a nice thing. You could also finger press this, but you can probably see side to side if you've got that little center fold in the background fabric. And then this is going to go on top up here, so we get everything in place before we stitch everything, so that we can just do it all in one go just about, although there's a whole lot of markings to stitch this time. And this is the little rim around. So this just sits over the lower edge with little tiny bits that just indicate that that rim is going round the edges of the thimble. So I think that's looking pretty good. So I can iron all that in place. And I can, because I'm going to be free motion stitching, I'm going to be positioning it onto something as a stabilizer, and I'm using a lightweight cotton batting as my stabilizer because it stitches really nicely. You do need a stabilizer if you're doing free motion, because we've taken the tension off when we do free motion and it wants to scrunch. So I've dropped my feed teeth, I've got a little open toe free motion foot on, and I've got a grey thread in my machine. So I think what I'll do is I might go all the way around the top little oval, which we marked the little circles on, and then I can come and do some of these lines down here. So we'll just start up here. So just a couple of stitches on top of each other is good to start. That locks the thread. So I'm going to snip my thread out of the way there. And then I think I'm going to do the lines next rather than the outline, so I can come back along that edge of the little top oval there and start just coming down these lines that I drew on to indicate the little grooves that are on the side of a thimble, and then along that same top sewing line and down. So I'm going over each line twice. This helps it to stand out a little bit better. Too long to do something like this, and so of course you can use free motion stitching for all kinds of decorative stitching, not just thimble lines. So we'll just finish these off as we're almost there now. More. And so now I'm up here, and so now I can come onto the actual thimble and start coming around the thimble. Now I've got to do the lines going across as well, but I think I'll do those as I'm coming up the other side. So I'm just going to keep going here all the way down, and then we've got this little surround to do here, so that can be done next as well. And I'm just going to come along the front edge of that as well, because that's overlapping the thimble. And I think I'm just going to come along that edge again to get me to the other side. And then I can start coming back the other side of the thimble, and now I can put these lines in that are going across. So just the same as we've been doing. And then all the way back. So I think you've seen all this, so I think I'll keep going, and I will show you when I'm a little bit closer to the end. So I'm just coming up. This is the last line across. Come up to the top here, a couple of stitches on top to finish it, and there we've got a wonderful looking little thimble ready to use. Let's give it a quick press, and we can put it up here with our other sewing room necessities, essentials, something. So these would be great, of course, in a quilt, on cushions. You could put them on little pouches, little bags, pretty much anywhere you like, I think. Sewing room little accessories are really fun to applique on all sorts of places. So that was it for applique number 4, and I will see you again with sewing room applique number 5.